Instead of replacing your old bedside table or cabinet, why not renovate it instead? A good makeover can completely change the look and feel of your furniture, allowing you to thriftily upcycle a piece to a custom design. It's also a great way to give a charity or junk shop find a new lease of life. Tailor the finish and style to your home, and get really creative with the decorative steps. In this video, Carla, who is a landscape gardener and home renovator, is going to show you the different techniques you can use to transform timber furniture by renovating a bedside table. The materials for this project are all available from Wickes and will take a DIYer with moderate skill approximately 7 hours to complete. We suggest allocating a weekend for this project in order to allow time for your glue, filler, paint and finishes to dry between stages. Look out for this icon during the video for our DIY top tips. Find the complete tools and materials at the end of this video, or visit the Ideas and Advice Hub at wickes.co.uk for a step-by-step guide. You can add, remove and replace as many elements as you like on your renovation project, depending on what's already there and how much room you have for customization. The lattice panels and interior shelf in our cabinet weren't in the best condition, and the back piece was missing entirely, so we decided to replace these using offcuts of timber that we had to hand. Of course, there's also a wide array of options when it comes to finishing the exterior, whether you want to lime, stain or paint the wood for a new look. Get started by placing your renovation project on your workbench and remove any loose fixtures such as drawers and shelves. Double check the condition of the fittings, then get rid of any that you don't want or plan to replace, such as handles, hinges and door panels. It's also worth checking for any errant pins or screws and removing them as well. We sanded down the entire unit with an electric palm sander using an appropriate coarse sanding grit, then used a soft sanding block to get into all of the details and intricate areas. Giving this stage extra attention and time will ensure that your decorative finishes and paint adhere evenly and really well. Before you go any further, do a full and thorough check of your unit for any repair work. Our cabinet had a number of cracks, scratches and split areas. For split areas, apply a generous amount of PVA glue with a paintbrush, working it in really well. Then fix the split by hammering in 25mm panel pins until it pulls together and the pin heads are sunken into the timber. For deep scratches, apply wood filler along the scratch using a wet rag or your finger to work it into the crevice. If you're planning to paint the cabinet, don't worry about the colour of your wood filler. Just wipe away any excess with a damp cloth for a tidy finish. Once all of the glue and filler had dried, we lightly sanded the repaired areas for a smooth and workable surface. We decided to replace the lattice that we removed from our cabinet doors with solid panels. We also constructed a new back piece from the same material which we fixed in place later on. Depending on your renovation project and what you have to work with, you can experiment with different materials for interesting textures and design features. We clamped a sheet of hardwood plywood to our workbench, marking the measurements with a crow's foot before cutting each panel width to size with a universal saw. Then, using our saw handle to scribe a straight line across the pieces, we cut each panel to the required length. Our cabinet door panels required slightly curved corners, so we sanded down the cut edges and the corners to fit. To fix in place, we used PVA with a dab of mitre glue and mitre adhesive to the corners before applying pressure to adhere. You may also wish to use 25mm panel pins depending on the structure of your renovation project for a secure hold. Once the filler and glue from any repair works have dried, the focus shifts to finishing the wood. This is where you can get even more creative. You can add as few or as many layers and treatments as you want. We chose to paint our table, which is an easy and effective way to completely change the look of furniture. Using a good quality primer ensures paint has a premium finish that is more durable and less likely to chip. We started with a generous base coat, applying it liberally to every side of the cabinet and drawer to seal and mask any uneven or dented areas. You can choose to either remove the fixtures you want to keep or paint over them, which we did. After the primer dried, we lightly sanded the surfaces by hand to remove any little drips, while lightly keying the cabinet to take off any high tops for a smoothing effect. Once the primer has dried, you can apply several coats of your desired colour. Giving the paint a really good stir, we applied a liberal first coat to the entire cabinet, working the paint into the nooks. Once dry, we lightly tickled back any drips, dust or clumps with sandpaper. Then we gave the cabinet a more precise second coat, working the paint delicately into the details, grooves and recesses with a brush and smoothing over any brush strokes on the larger surfaces with our roller. Once the paint is dried, you can choose to experiment with extra decorative touches. We decided to add some more depth to accentuate the form and structure of the cabinet. To do this, we mixed a slightly darker colour from a tester pot with some water to create an inky solution that we poured into a spray bottle. Spritzing big mists from a distance, we worked quickly to wipe the ink away from the top layers so it settled into the recesses and nooks. Once the paint is dry, sealing your work with varnish is a great way to highlight the furniture's patterns, textures and surfaces. For the best results, we applied thin and even coats, working the brush into the grooves well to avoid drips. One great way to customize your furniture is to line the interior with wallpaper. You can even match or contrast the colors to the room where the unit will live. We chose to line the drawer, the base, and back of the cabinet with a fun chevron print. Making sure to account for any recesses or fixtures that might need to be cut around, we measured and marked our wallpaper, cutting with a retractable trimming knife. Then, applying slightly watered down PVA glue directly to the surfaces, we stuck our wallpaper in place, smoothing out any air bubbles from the centre with a dry sponge. To fix the back panel in place, we used PVA and mitre adhesive, as with the panels. We also chose to cut a new chunky shelf from off-cut timber, but equally, you can recycle any material you have to hand. Finally, we added our new handles to the doors and drawer. If you choose to replace the fixtures and fittings on any other element of your renovation project, such as hinges, latches, catches or locks, it's best to fit them in the final stages. Now your renovation project has been refreshed and transformed, you can proudly put it on display. Not only a handsome addition to a bedroom, refurbished bedside cabinets can look great in many areas of the home. Paint in a contrasting or matching wall colour to your guest bedroom for a statement piece. Use in a hallway or landing, next to a comfy chair to display photos and ornaments. Or utilise as the perfect end table in a living room for your cup of tea, magazines and TV remote. Subscribe to our social channels and share your #WithWickes projects with us. And for more inspiration, ideas and advice, visit Wickes online and in store.